God gave me a great opportunity to meet with my father at 100 years old. At least one more time. That's right. A unique situation. I'm visiting my father and my children and my grandchildren for a few days before I travel overseas again. And it's always a pleasure to meet with my father, but you never know. You never know if he's pissed or he's really pissed. And I'm one of 11 children, so I know my father and mother had a lot of trouble from the 11 kids. And you know what's funny? We're all alive, ranging from the oldest at 79 and the youngest is at 60. I'm in my 70s. But I had a unique relationship with my father because I worked side by side with my father for 15 years. And believe me, and I was a successor. I was the guy that he trusted to build the business and to grow the business with his direction, his guidance, his leadership. And he taught me a lot about integrity. He taught me about business ethics. He taught me about family values. He taught me to fucking do the right thing, man. So here I am in my 70s, and I have anxiety to go visit my father at 100. Why? Because he still treats us like we're 12. And you don't know, he's old school. He's not going to tell you, Rock, I love you. Rock, I'm going to cuddle you. Rock, no. It's the opposite. We've heard the words, what are you, stupid? Nowadays, you can't say that. Only Trump could say that. Okay? So anyway, I was anxious to see my dad. And it happened to be raining here in Minnesota. I'm in a hotel room right now, telling you how great of a meeting I had with my father. My dad lives in an independent living, and he's proud of it. Very proud. He reminded me of that. So I walk up to the independent living facilities, and he'll text me. My dad, he's got an iPhone. He'll text me. He says, okay. He reminds me what room number he's in and so on. So I go up there, and before I go up there, you always bring something. When you go visit people, we were taught to bring something to the home. You always bring something. And my father's got everything, and he doesn't want anything. You know, I'm kind of like that myself too. I mean, once you have it all, you don't need anything. You got to be careful what you can eat, what you can't eat. You know, you're going to give it away anyway. You know what I mean? So no gifts. The term was always no gifts. Well, guess what? You still bring gifts. So I know what my dad likes. He likes cologne. Yeah, he likes cologne. Well, you got 11 kids, my mother, you know. There was romance. He's 100% Italian, first generation. My mother was 100% first generation Polish. And it's a love story. So here I go walking to my father, and I knock on the door out of respect, and I know the door is open, right? Or unlocked. And I knock on the door, and I walk in, and I always salute him, you know. He's like the general, you know. Dad. And I have to say it loud enough so he could hear it because he's watching Fox News and it's loud, right? So I walk up to him, but before I did that, I brought cologne. I know he loves cologne. Number 2, I went to an Italian store, and I picked up some olives, and they were unique olives because they were stuffed with feta cheese, and he loves feta cheese, and he's hard to buy for. So the only thing I'm going to give him is, you know, either food and so on, and I got him some great Italian bread that I know he would appreciate. So anyway, those were my gifts, and I had them wrapped, you know what I mean? So it's pretty cool, and he won't open gifts. He's that type of person. But the cologne I didn't wrap. Okay? And he said thank you, of course. And he's got his little walker that's got a little tray on it. So he put it on the tray. We hugged each other. And we're accustomed to, hugging each other and kissing each other. And he was getting up. I said, Dad, don't get up. Don't get up. So he sat down, hugged him, kissed him, and I sat next to him. And the football game, Thursday night football, was going to start. I expected to be there maybe a half an hour or so. And so we sat down, and he doesn't have Prime. And on Thursday night, it's Prime football. It's on Prime. So he has no access. I says, Dad, don't you have Prime? He goes, no. But he's got a nice TV on the wall. And I end up calling my two brothers to say, hey, what's the deal? What's his password and all this other stuff? Neither one of them got back to me. They got their own lives, right? So I decided to go on my Prime, and I got the QR code, and I checked it out, and guess what? It popped up under my name. So I went, great. So we watched the game. It was against Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. And my dad's a Viking fan. And while he was in a snowbird in Florida for many, many years, 30, 40 years, he would watch Miami. But he's really a Viking fan. So anyway, we watched the game muted. I got a glass of Chardonnay. He had his Diet Pep. He called it Diet Pep. And we just talked, and we talked about everything, man. And you got to remember, this guy's 100. And he's got his mind. And he's got a shrine of my mother, of course. My mother passed away in 2020 at 94. No diseases. And my father was in denial. He never thought she would pass before him. So we talked a little bit about everything. We talked about my mother. We talked about my brothers and sisters and his children. We talked about the grandchildren. We talked about my children. We talked about our past and our business. We talked about people that we worked with. No one's left. My dad, he's the last one standing, and I know he's pretty proud of that. Okay? But the key is he's got his mind. He's got his mind, and he is so thankful. He would bring it up. The gratitude was just amazing about how lucky and blessed our family is. My parents have over 100 descendants. So that discussion, and I know my dad loves me, man. But we went through some tough times, man. In the business, my divorce, the succession plan wasn't easy. And he was hard on me. And I'm thankful he was, because that's who I am today. You know how they talk about Trump being a badass? Well, my dad's a badass. And he misses my mom a lot. His routine is the casino, playing cards. And I asked him, I says, Dad, do you go to the same dealer? He goes, Rock, they change them every 15 minutes or half hour, whatever. He goes, I've known some of these guys for over 30 years, men and women. Some of them are gone. He's 100. And he's independent. And he was proud to show me that he doesn't need a walker. So he's showing me that he's walking in front of me. I'm sitting on a lazy boy, having a glass of Chardonnay, and he's up showing me, I don't need this walker. And I'm scared shitless that he's going to fall. But you got to let him do his deal. So I noticed he put the cologne away in his bedroom. And I know he loves the cologne I get him because it's always Italian. I always get him Italian cologne that's unique. And it brings him back to his first visit to Italy in 1990. And he walked to the kitchen and he pulled out, he's entertaining me now. He pulls out three items of nuts to nibble on while we're watching the muted football game. And he had a couple comments about missed tackles, and they missed the field goal. Buffalo did. He goes, well, they could have had that one, and there was an interception and so on. Very sharp, very sharp. And so we're talking about 3.5 hours. So we're talking, I got there around 7 and I left about 10:30. And I called my sister right away and I told her how well it went. Because she had me drop some stuff off for my dad and stuff. And my dad had no plans for Friday except to see my sister come over and play cribbage. They play cribbage every Friday. And then Saturday he'll go to the casino. And it's very typical for him to have a senior McDonald's coffee and McMuffin, no cheese. And whoever's traveling with him, my brothers and sisters, they bring him down to the casino. He'll spend he'll leave around 9 a.m. This is a routine. And he'll leave around 3:30 or 4 from the casino. The casino is maybe 45 minutes away. And that's his way of getting around. But you know what? He's not waiting to die. You know, we were laughing because they took the car away from him because he had one of my nephews had a car accident with my dad's car. And he's still pissed about it because he's on alert. And he goes, I have my driver's license to 2028. He'll be 103 or so. And then he had his batteries exchanged, you know, for his pacemaker. And the batteries are good for like 20 years. I says, Dad, the batteries are at least good till 2045. I'm not kidding you, man. It was so delightful that, you know, I respect him as a dad, you know. He was a great dad. But he was also my mentor. And I saw the great leader he was. And he had a lot of respect from 3M. He's had thousands of employees, my father. And he started out as a printer. Yeah, he had no college education. My mother never finished high school. And they were married at 19 and 18. And born and raised in Chicago. That's the other thing. We talked about his 100-year-old, by 3 months, 100-year-old cousin. And my dad talked about when he was in grade school, the way he would carry the homemade Chianti around for my grandfather. Talked about the candy store. My dad called it the candy store that my grandfather had. So we've had a lot of entrepreneurs in our family. In fact, not only my father, myself, brother, I got a brother that's an entrepreneur. My son's an entrepreneur. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've had at least 5 entrepreneur generations. Okay? And that's what my grandfather used to say to me. Rock, I'd be cutting his grass at 9 years old. My parents would send us there on Saturdays to cut the grass and, you know, trim everything really nice and so on. And we would get $1 from my grandparents. And that was back in the 60s. And they would have dinner for us, lunch, pasta. And my grandfather would say to me, Rock, be a businessman. Rock, be a businessman. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know my dad was eventually a businessman, you know, an entrepreneur. But I saw it develop. I saw my dad's partner. I saw my dad's business associate, the respect he got from 3M Company. You talk about 3M. My dad was really an innovator, you know. He wasn't a printer. He was an innovator, an entrepreneur, and he knew how to invest. I actually mentioned to my kids more or less that he's the Warren Buffett of St. Paul, Minnesota, my father. And he's very low-key, very humble, modest, you know. It's all about the poor and his charities for years and years and years. And my mother, because they were brought up poor. They were brought up poor. So My 3.5 hours with my father, I'll never forget. And I got another date with him on Monday Night Football. And I got the Ravens. He's got Detroit. And we bet $1. And we fist pump. But he gets the points. And he's so competitive. And you know what? Either way, it's fun. It's fun. And he completely surprised me. And that's how much joy he brought to me. I always knew I had a unique relationship with him because I worked with him behind the scenes. He developed me. He shaped me. But he said something pretty cool. I remember I was at Harvard Business School, and I was taking an executive class there. And I was in my 30s, and my father said something to me. I was so worried about the business when I wasn't there that I left him with the business. But I had a good team. I had a good team in an organization to run the business. But I didn't want my father to worry about the team building the business. You know, we were not only competent, we were capable and ambitious to do the right thing. We really lived his culture. We lived my dad's culture, which is very unusual back in the 80s and the 90s. And that's why I'm so adamant about going independent. You know, once I sold the business, due to culture and due to trust, I created my own businesses, and I tried to create the culture that my dad had. Why? Because it was successful. It was ethical. You knew what integrity was. But as I was walking out yesterday, and we talked about those life alerts, you know, the devices that he's got by a string, you know, you hold on for a device. He says, you know, I called all you guys, you should get one, because he knows we're single and we're living alone. So I called one of the staff that he utilizes for, you know, when he needs some assistance at times, like a shower or something like that. I called Edith, her name's Edith, and Edith says, Rock, get the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch now is what you want. So I checked into it, and I'm going to get one, you know, because it does your blood pressure, it does a few other things that you should be aware of on your health. And so anyway, I told him that I was going to do that. And then as I was walking out, I turned back and I said, Dad, I'll see you Monday. And he goes, Rock, this was a pleasant visit. A pleasant visit? I had it, and that's why I'm talking about it on YouTube, so my grandkids see it, my kids see it, that no one could take that away from me. Now, when I think about my mother, we had a special relationship too. Like we all did. All 11 kids had a unique relationship with my mother, because she was a unconditional lover. Not only her kids, everyone. My dad, he knows what he had, and he appreciates my mom, and he misses my mom. So I got another blessing from God to be able to talk to my father as if we were still, he's 28 years older than me, so let's just say round it up to 30. So when I was 30, running the business as a president of his company, he was 60. And he had God as his mentor, and my mother, and I had my parents, and I saw it from the best. So I had to put this on YouTube, man. I had to put it on video, because I realized how much gratitude I have for my parents, because they gave me the opportunity, and they trusted me. And it was trouble. Believe me, I was trouble. But you know what? I didn't fuck it up. And now I'm going to pass it on to my kids. My children and my grandchildren. So I want to pass this on, and I will see my kids this weekend. and tell them about my visit. They'll probably not watch it on YouTube for 20, 30 years when I'm gone. And that's why I'm on YouTube, more or less for my grandkids and my legacy. Now, I did ask my dad if he wanted to do a video and an interview that I've been asked by people to do something for my father. He didn't want to do it, so I got to respect that. So the only way I can communicate it is this way. But for me to have this opportunity of a person at 100 years old to have their mind and talk about the past and talk about life. And we shared, as I mentioned before, we shared side by side 15 years together in business. And business is family business, okay? So besides the hundreds of employees, it was still about the family. But you know one thing my parents did? The people came first. Not the family. The people came first because they knew that the people were part of our family and part of God's family. So I'll have more to share. So God bless you guys. And we talked about some of the LaManna-isms. That's our last name, LaManna. LaManna-isms. And we laughed together. He said, Dad, remember when you used to say colors show on people? We laughed. And I have a second book coming out. And it was about the picking the right horse. My dad used to say, you got to make sure you pick the right horse. And picking the right horse is about picking the right friends, picking the right spouse, picking the right career, doing the right thing. Yeah. And stick and stay is bound to pay. It's about discipline. It's about patience. And I'll tell you, my dad got patience, man, for 100 years. And he's still showing that he's strong. And he wants to drive. He wants his car back. He's got his license. He's pissed because he's going to have to retake his license test. He'll get it done. And those batteries on that pacemaker, 2045. But for him to get up and walk away from that walker, which I was scared shitless, and he goes, you see, I don't need this walker. They say I need a cane. I don't need a cane. It's fucking awesome, man. Okay. You can see I had a great time. But I got something from God. I got the chance to talk to someone that's alive. And I shared a lot with. So it was really a special night. My dad's name is Carlo. Carlo. So I had a special time with Carlo. I'll never forget it. And I got more to come. God bless you guys. Make sure you do the right thing. Keep your promises. Stick and stay is bound to pay. Make sure you pick the right horse. What else you want to hear? God bless.